When I talk about a big dream, I'm not talking about something small, something ordinary, something that fits into the little box society wants to hand you. I'm talking about something that makes people laugh when you tell them, something that makes them shake their heads and say, "That's impossible." Good, that's the kind of dream you want. Because if your dream doesn't scare you, if it doesn't challenge every limit you think you have, then it's not big enough. A big dream isn't just a thought you hold at night before you fall asleep. It's not just a fantasy you escape into when life gets hard. A big dream has to become your obsession. It has to be the thing that fuels you when the alarm clock rings at 5 in the morning, when the gym is cold and empty, when you've failed 10 times and no one believes in you anymore. That's when your big dream matters the most. People are going to doubt you. They're going to tell you to be realistic, to settle for something safe, to aim lower. They'll try to shrink your dream down to their size. Don't let them. The truth is, most people quit on themselves long before life ever tests them. They accept average and they call it normal. But if you have a big dream, you don't have the luxury of being normal. You have to be relentless. You have to be unreasonable. You have to be willing to do what others won't. Every champion, every legend, every person who has ever stood above the crowd started with a big dream. And here's the secret. The dream alone is not enough. Everyone can dream, but not everyone is willing to fight for it. Not everyone is willing to pay the price. If you want to turn your big dream into reality, you must sacrifice. You must give your time, your energy, your comfort, your excuses. You must be willing to fail 1,000 times, to get up 1,001. A big dream will test you. It will push you to your limits. But that's exactly the point, because when you push past those limits, when you discover that you're stronger, tougher, and more determined than you ever thought, that's when the dream begins to take shape. That's when you stop chasing it and you start living it. So I ask you, what's your big dream? Not the safe one, not the easy one, the real one, the one buried deep inside you that you're afraid to even admit. Dig it up, speak it out loud, and then commit to it with everything you've got. Because life is too short to think small. Life is too precious to waste on mediocrity. Aim high, think bold, dream big. And don't stop until the world has no choice but to see it. When you talk about dreaming, most people think about something small, something safe, something they know they can reach without too much risk. But dreaming small doesn't ignite fire. It doesn't create passion. It doesn't wake you up at night and keep you restless until you chase it. A dream that truly matters is one that shakes you to the core, that fills you with both excitement and fear. Because the truth is that fear is the signal that you're aiming high enough. If your dream doesn't scare you, if it doesn't make you question whether you're good enough, smart enough, strong enough, then it's not a big dream. It's just another task on a checklist. Big dreams are meant to intimidate you at first because they force you to see beyond what you currently are. They demand that you become more than what you've been, and they challenge you to step into the unknown where nothing is guaranteed and everything must be earned. When you set a big dream, it separates you from the crowd because most people are content with dreaming just a little bigger than their current situation. They dream of a slightly better job, a slightly bigger house, a slightly more comfortable life. But the person who dares to dream huge, who dares to say, "I will change the game, I will do something no one believes is possible," that person automatically sets themselves on a different path. A big dream isn't about comfort, it's about conquest. It's not about being safe, it's about breaking boundaries. It's about saying yes to the mountain even when you've never climbed a hill. It's about saying yes to the championship even when you're still learning the basics. It's about saying yes to the impossible even when the world calls you crazy. Fear is part of the process, and in fact, fear is proof that your dream is alive. If people laugh at your dream, if they shake their heads and call it impossible, you're on the right track because the dream you carry should be so big that it doesn't just challenge you. It challenges the beliefs of everyone around you. The dream should be so bold that even the thought of it sends a rush through your body. The kind of rush that makes your heart pound faster and your hands sweat, because deep down you know this is the path where greatness lies. People without fear, people without doubts, they're not chasing big dreams, they're playing safe, and safe doesn't inspire. Safe doesn't change the world. Safe doesn't leave a legacy. Big dreams are like mountains. When you look up at them from the bottom, they seem impossible, overwhelming, out of reach. That feeling of intimidation, that heaviness in your chest when you imagine the climb, that's exactly the signal that tells you this is the dream worth chasing. Because in chasing it, you will grow. In fighting for it, you will transform. You won't be the same person at the top that you were at the bottom, and that's the point. A big dream forces you to evolve. It demands discipline, focus, persistence, and resilience. It strips away your excuses and makes you face your weaknesses head on, because you can't fake your way to a big dream. You can't stumble into it by accident. You have to build yourself to match the size of the dream. The reason so many people abandon their dreams or settle for smaller ones is because they're afraid of failure, afraid of embarrassment, afraid of putting in years of effort without knowing if it will ever pay off. But the truth is that the fear of failure is the tax you pay for dreaming big. You can't separate the dream from the fear. You can't separate the vision from the struggle. They are tied together. But here's the secret. The bigger the dream, the more powerful the person you become in pursuit of it. Even if you stumble, even if you fail again and again, you will rise sharper, stronger, and hungrier each time. That's the gift of a big dream. It forges you into someone you never imagined you could be. So when you sit down and think about what you want in life, don't aim for what you know you can reach. Don't aim for what feels safe. Don't aim for what earns you a polite nod of approval. Aim for the dream that makes you nervous to even say out loud. Aim for the dream that others mock because they can't see what you see. Aim for the dream that scares you because that is the dream that will wake up your soul. That is the dream that will demand your best. That is the dream that will make your life extraordinary. Obsession is the fuel that takes an ordinary vision and transforms it into reality. Because interest alone is not enough. Anyone can be interested in something for a day, a week, maybe even a year, but interest fades when the struggle gets real, when the challenges pile up, when the sacrifices start to feel heavy. Interest disappears when the excitement of the beginning wears off, and all that's left is the grind. Obsession, on the other hand, is a fire that doesn't go out. It consumes you, it takes over your thoughts, it drives your actions, it pushes you to keep going when everything in your body screams to stop. Obsession means you can't stop thinking about your goal. You can't stop working toward it. You can't turn it off no matter how hard you try. It becomes the center of your focus, the reason you get up early, the reason you stay late, the reason you give more than you thought you had. When you're obsessed, you don't need someone to remind you to work. You don't need motivational quotes to get moving. You don't need applause or recognition from the outside world. The obsession itself becomes the engine that drives you forward. You wake up thinking about it. You fall asleep thinking about it. You dream about it even in your sleep. That level of focus is what separates people who achieve extraordinary results from people who remain stuck in mediocrity. Because while others are distracted, while others are scrolling through their phones, while others are wasting hours talking about what they'll do someday, the obsessed one is already doing the work, already paying the price, already moving closer to the dream. Obsession isn't comfortable, it isn't balanced, it requires sacrifice, and it often makes people around you uncomfortable because they don't understand it. They call it extreme, they call it unhealthy, they call it crazy. But every breakthrough, every invention, every championship, every monumental achievement in history was driven by someone who was obsessed. They were the ones who couldn't walk away, who couldn't let go, who couldn't stop until the vision in their head matched the reality in front of them. Interest asks what's convenient. Obsession asks what's necessary. Interest gives you excuses. Obsession gives you reasons. Interest quits when it's painful. Obsession fights harder. There's a moment in every journey when you hit the wall, when you've given everything and it feels like you have nothing left, when your body wants to shut down, when your mind whispers that maybe you should quit. Interest folds in that moment. Obsession finds another gear. Obsession doesn't hear the voice of doubt because it's too focused on the vision, too consumed by the mission, too locked in on the outcome to be stopped by pain or setbacks. Obsession makes you dangerous because it means you're willing to do more than others. You're willing to go further. You're willing to sacrifice comfort, time, energy, relationships, even your own doubts, because nothing else matters more than reaching the goal. People sometimes confuse obsession with luck. They see someone achieve greatness and say, they're lucky. But what they don't see are the countless hours spent in silence, the nights of exhaustion, the sacrifices nobody clapped for, the rejections and failures endured without giving up. That's not luck, that's obsession at work. Luck is interest with a wish. Obsession is discipline with a purpose. Luck might show up once in a while, but obsession shows up every single day, whether the conditions are good or bad, whether the circumstances are fair or unfair, whether anyone is watching or not. Obsession transforms obstacles into fuel. Every challenge, every rejection, every failure becomes proof that you're still on the path, proof that you're willing to fight for what you want, proof that you're not like the rest. When others see a wall, obsession sees a way around it, over it, or through it. When others see risk, obsession sees opportunity. When others see the end, obsession sees the beginning of another chance to grow, another chance to fight, another chance to move closer to the dream. Obsession demands everything from you, but in return it gives you power that most people will never taste. It gives you focus sharper than any distraction. It gives you endurance stronger than any excuse. It gives you clarity in the middle of chaos. With obsession, you don't wonder if you'll get there. You only wonder how long it will take. And that question fuels you to keep going harder and faster. Obsession is the difference between someone who wants it and someone who will have it, between someone who talks about greatness and someone who becomes it, between someone who dreams and someone who lives the dream. When you choose to follow a big dream, one of the first challenges you'll face is the noise of doubters. They'll come from everywhere: family, friends, teachers, co-workers, strangers on the street. People will tell you it's impossible, that you don't have what it takes, that the risk is too high, that you're being unrealistic. At first, these voices might sting. They might make you question yourself. They might plant seeds of doubt in your mind. But if you want to achieve something extraordinary, you must learn to ignore the doubters and reject the idea of living an average life, because average is what keeps people trapped. Average is what convinces them to settle. Average is the comfort zone that kills ambition. Doubters speak from their own limitations. When they say you can't, what they really mean is I can't. When they say it's too hard, what they're really saying is it's too hard for me. They project their fears, their failures, their excuses onto you, and if you're not careful, you'll start carrying their baggage instead of chasing your own dream. That's why you have to be ruthless about filtering out negativity. You cannot let the opinions of small thinkers shrink the size of your vision. The world has always been full of people who say things can't be done. But history is shaped by those who refuse to listen, who push forward regardless of the criticism, who believe in their vision more than they believe in the doubts of others. Ignoring doubters doesn't mean you don't hear them. It means you don't give their words power. It means you choose to focus on your mission instead of their opinions. It means you don't waste energy trying to convince them, explain to them, or win their approval. Their approval is irrelevant. What matters is the fire burning inside you, the conviction that your dream is worth fighting for. The truth is, most people who doubt you today will be the same ones who applaud you later, but you cannot live your life waiting for applause. You have to keep your eyes forward, your heart steady, and your determination unshakable. Rejecting average is part of this process. The word average sounds harmless, but it's one of the most dangerous traps in life. Average convinces people that it's okay to stop trying, that it's okay to settle for less, that it's okay to lower their standards. Average tells you that good enough is enough, that you don't need to push further, that you don't need to chase the extraordinary. But when you settle into average, you stop growing. You silence the voice inside that whispers you are made for more. You give up the chance to see what you're truly capable of. Rejecting average means raising your standards so high that comfort feels like failure. It means being willing to stand apart from the crowd, to do what others won't, to endure what others can't, to commit to a path most will never understand. This isn't easy. The pull of average is strong because it feels safe, it feels predictable, it feels like the path of least resistance. Everyone around you might be living that way, and you might feel the temptation to join them, to quiet your ambition so you can fit in, to shrink your dream so you won't be judged. But greatness doesn't live in the safe zone, it doesn't live in the predictable, it doesn't live where everyone else is. It lives in the territory where only the brave go, the place where risk is high, where criticism is loud, where failure is likely. But it is also the place where success is possible, where breakthroughs happen, where transformation takes place. If you want to achieve something incredible, you have to make peace with being misunderstood. You have to accept that people will call you arrogant, delusional, obsessed, unrealistic. They'll try to shame you back into the average life they've chosen for themselves. But the truth is, the very things they criticize you for today will be the things they admire tomorrow. What they see as arrogance is actually confidence. What they see as delusion is vision. What they see as obsession is dedication. The labels they put on you are reflections of their own limitations, not yours. Every person who has ever broken barriers, who has ever stood out, who has ever achieved greatness has faced doubters. They've faced critics, haters, and skeptics. But what separates them from the rest is their refusal to bow to those voices. They chose to push forward, to silence the noise with action, to drown out negativity with results. That is what you must do if you want to live your dream. You have to develop a mindset so strong that no amount of criticism can shake it. A belief so unshakable that no amount of negativity can break it. A vision so clear that no amount of doubt can blur its sacrifice is the hidden cost of every big dream, and it's the part most people want to avoid. They love the idea of success. They love the thought of recognition. They love the vision of living their dream, but they don't want to give up the things that are holding them back. They don't want to wake up earlier. They don't want to stay up later. They don't want to cut out distractions. They don't want to put in the hours when nobody is watching. Yet the truth is that greatness does not come without a price, and that price is sacrifice. You cannot hold on to comfort and expect to hold on to your dream at the same time. You cannot demand ease and expect to achieve extraordinary. Sacrifice is the exchange, the currency you must pay if you want to see your vision turn into reality. Sacrifice means saying no when everyone else is saying yes. It means turning down parties, shutting off the television, putting away the distractions that steal your time and your focus. It means choosing the gym over the couch, the grind over the gossip, the discipline over the desire for comfort. It means giving up the temporary pleasures that everyone else enjoys so you can have the permanent results they will never taste. People often look at success and only see the rewards, the trophies, the glory, but what they don't see are the countless nights of struggle, the missed vacations, the skipped celebrations, the lonely hours spent working while everyone else was relaxing. Those sacrifices are invisible to the world, but they are the foundation of every achievement. The greater the dream, the greater the sacrifice required. If your dream is small, the cost will be small. But if your dream is big, you must be ready to give more than most are willing to give. You might have to sacrifice relationships with people who don't believe in you, who try to hold you back, who drain your energy instead of fueling it. You might have to sacrifice money, pouring it into your craft, your training, your education, instead of spending it on temporary pleasures. You might have to sacrifice sleep, comfort, and security to chase something that others can't even see. This is why so few people ever achieve their big dreams, because when they come face to face with the cost, they back down, they settle. They decide it's not worth it. But the ones who embrace sacrifice, the ones who are willing to endure it, those are the ones who rise. Sacrifice builds strength. Every time you give something up for your dream, you prove to yourself that your vision matters more than your excuses. Every time you turn away from an easy choice and choose the hard path instead, you reinforce your commitment. Sacrifice is not punishment, it's preparation. It forges discipline, it sharpens focus, it toughens your mind and body, it trains you to resist temptation, and it prepares you for the challenges that are still ahead. When you sacrifice today, you're building the character you'll need tomorrow. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of more, that you can endure more, that you can fight through the pain in order to reach the promise. The beauty of sacrifice is that it gives meaning to achievement. If something comes too easily, it never feels valuable, it never feels earned. But when you sacrifice for years, when you give up so much, when you fight through the hard days and the lonely nights, the victory at the end tastes sweeter, the reward carries weight, the achievement becomes a part of you. Sacrifice transforms the goal into something sacred because you know what it cost you, you know what you gave, you know the pain you endured to get there. It's not just about what you gained, it's about who you became in the process, about the strength, the resilience, the determination you built along the way. Many people want shortcuts. They want the dream without the sacrifice, the success without the struggle, the reward without the risk. But shortcuts never last, and they never lead to true greatness. The road of sacrifice is longer, harder, and lonelier, but it's also the only road that leads to real achievement. When you look at champions, visionaries, leaders, and innovators, you're looking at people who chose sacrifice again and again, who gave up comfort in exchange for purpose, who paid the price and kept paying it until their dream became reality. They weren't handed greatness, they purchased it with sacrifice, and that same price is waiting for anyone who dares to dream big, big dreams, demand relentless action and resilience. Because vision without execution is nothing more than fantasy. It's not enough to imagine the life you want. It's not enough to talk about it. It's not enough to plan it out on paper. At some point, you must take action, and not just once, not just for a short burst of motivation, but day after day, year after year, with a consistency that refuses to break. Relentless action means you show up no matter what. You move forward no matter how you feel. You grind when you're tired. You push when you're uninspired. You keep going when every part of you wants to quit. Action is what turns your dream from an idea into a reality, but resilience is what keeps it alive when the world tries to crush it. Resilience is the muscle that grows only when it is tested. You don't develop it in comfort. You don't develop it when everything goes according to plan. You don't develop it when the road is smooth. Resilience is built in the storms, in the failures, in the heartbreaks, in the moments when you feel like all your effort was wasted. It's in those moments that most people walk away, but if your dream is big enough, you can't walk away. You get knocked down, but you get back up. You lose, but you try again. You fail, but you learn and come back stronger. That's resilience, and without it, no amount of action will last long enough to carry you to the finish line. When you pursue a big dream, you will be tested more than you ever imagined. People will doubt you. Circumstances will betray you. Your own mind will try to sabotage you. There will be setbacks so heavy they feel like the end. But resilience transforms setbacks into stepping stones. Every time you face adversity, you have a choice. Let it break you or let it build you. Relentless action fueled by resilience means that nothing can stop you permanently. You might get slowed down, you might stumble, but you refuse to stay down. You refuse to accept defeat as final. You keep pressing forward because the dream demands it. The combination of relentless action and resilience creates momentum. At first, progress is slow, painfully slow, and it feels like no one notices. You work in silence, you grind in the dark, you sacrifice while others celebrate. But every small action adds up, every step compounds, and soon the momentum begins to build. What once felt impossible begins to move, and what once felt too heavy begins to shift. This momentum becomes a force that even obstacles struggle to stop, and that force is born only from persistence, only from the refusal to quit, only from showing up over and over when it would have been easier not to. Relentless action requires discipline. It's not about waiting for motivation, because motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the wind. Discipline is what makes you take action regardless of your mood, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how many excuses you can come up with. Discipline is waking up early when you'd rather sleep. It's practicing when you'd rather relax. It's putting in the extra hours when no one is watching. That discipline, repeated daily, becomes a habit, and those habits form the foundation of success. With relentless action, you build habits that make winning inevitable, because success becomes the byproduct of your consistency. Resilience requires a different kind of strength, the strength of perspective. It's the ability to look at a failure and see feedback, to look at rejection and see redirection, to look at pain and see growth. It's refusing to let the darkest moments convince you to give up. Resilience is not pretending everything is fine. It's acknowledging the struggle, but refusing to let the struggle define you. It's standing tall in the face of defeat and deciding that this is not the end, that the dream is worth one more try, one more push, one more battle. That decision, made repeatedly, builds a toughness that can outlast any challenge. Every big dreamer who has ever reached the top had to live by this principle of relentless action and resilience. They were not spared from failure. They were not spared from setbacks. They were not spared from pain. The only difference between them and those who quit was that they kept moving forward anyway. They didn't stop when it got hard. They didn't stop when they were tired. They didn't stop when it seemed hopeless. They understood that action was the only bridge between the dream and the reality, and resilience was the only armor strong enough to withstand the battle along the way. That is the formula for greatness, and it belongs to anyone willing to pay the price.